So another principle that I was thinking about, because apparently I have a few other things that I kind of live by, and this one's a little bit more superstitious than everything else that I've talked about, but it applies to a lot of things, and it's the three strikes you're out rule. I determined it a principle because there's two ways to look at it. It's three strikes you're out, or third time's a charm, as I put it. Um, the There's another old adage that kind of applies to it. Um, Lie to me once, shame on you. Lie to me twice, shame on me. And then the third one is lie to me a third time. Dot dot dot. Well, I thought about it, and maybe this is a principle that I hold. I give people, online and otherwise, three tries. Three tries. That's it. To be civil, to have a discussion, and to be cordial. I can then determine and apply the golden rule that clearly they want to be treated as they are treating me. So I should return the favor. I think that's only fair. Because they're going to be a douchebag to me. Why not be a douchebag right back to them? I mean, they can claim that they're the better man eventually, I'm sure, because they just won't notice that I was kind and cordial three times. You continue to escalate. So I figured that's how you want to be treated. So I treat you like you wanted to treat others. You're treating me this way, so clearly you want to be treated that way. That's the way it works, right? This principle, I guess, also applies to how I got married. I gave her three tries. All three, in fact. Which was kind of interesting because at the time, I was a whore. That's a good way to put it. And I gave it three tries because there were situations. Not to get in the weeds or the details, but I took her off my list of potentials, and then she got put back on the list because she reached out to me, and it was the third time's a charm. I gave her a try. But I noticed that actually applies to a lot of other things that I've done in my life. Three strikes you're out. Third time's a charm. So if it doesn't work three times, I usually just throw it out. If it works on the third time, great. The only time that might get set aside is in gaming or some other things that you're trying to accomplish. There's a way to do something, you just haven't quite figured it out yet, so you tinker. But with personal interactions specifically, when you're talking about people, I give everyone three good tries. And let me give you an example of how that works. So you're talking to somebody online, random thread on, I don't know, news article that said something stupid. And yes, I think they all say something stupid because I don't believe the news. I don't believe the headlines. I don't even click on that shit no more. I go and find out my news from aggregates. I go to places that look at 6 or 7 different articles and merge them together to say this is the only thing they agree upon. These are the facts, and that's it. Those are the places I go to. I don't believe anything that comes out of any of the legacy news whatsoever. They've already admitted to manipulating voices, manipulating information, lying to people directly. They've been caught in numerous lies. They have dissolved all trust. But the way they dissolved all trust with me is the same way that everyone else does. I gave them 3 tries to tell the truth. They didn't. Covington kids, good example. They lied more than 3 times. And then, like every other cheater that comes out, says, "Oh, I made a mistake. Won't you forgive me? It's just a journalistic mistake. I'll never do it again, I promise." Cheaters say the same thing. "I just tripped and fell into her. I couldn't help it. I'll never do it again. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake, I promise." That word mistake being used often with these people. But you give them 3 tries. At that point, you should be willing to write them off. I've given a few friends 3 tries not to be incredible racist douchebags. They're gone. That was easy. It's upsetting. I don't like losing friends. I don't make many friends to begin with. But when you aspire racist shit, goodbye. I don't need that shit in my life. And that is kind of where I dip into not crossing the line of do unto others. Because if you're going to be a racist piece of shit toward me, I that crosses the line of race has no value. So I will not be a racist shit to you. I will just ignore you. I have no reason or need to listen to somebody propounding and explaining racist rhetoric, to say the least. So that goes with the 3 strikes you're out rule. Third time's a charm now. That one's a little bit different. I've tried multiple different ways, for an example, to increase this channel. None of it seems to work. There's things that I won't do, like cause drama or jump into drama. But I did a couple as a joke, and those seem to have the most views, which is weird to me. Kind of shows the nature of the internet and the average person. But it is what it is, I suppose. But at the same time, this is something I'm tinkering at. It's just a side kind of thing that I'm doing because why not? I have fun with it. But the 3rd time's a charm rule. It should go... this is personal interaction stuff that I talk about with this. I don't see it applying to literally anything else. Because it's... you're giving somebody an attempt to either be a friend or more, or not. And you can watch for things that irritate you. If they're mild, But if they cross your principles, now that's another thing entirely. If they espouse some really crazy shit, great. You don't need to be friends with them. But then again, what if you're the one that has crazy shit thoughts? How do you know? Well, that goes back to principle 3, I guess. Question everything. If you're not questioning your own beliefs, how do you even know you're right? You don't, is the true answer. You don't know that you're right. But anyways, that's crossing into a different thing. But everybody kind of understands the concept behind this, that give everything at least 3 good, solid tries. In personal interactions, give people side that they've crossed the line, then you can either write them off or antagonize, depending on how you feel about that situation or person. I don't recommend antagonizing. It usually ends up with bad outcomes. If it's random nobodies on the internet, I have no problem with it. There's a couple people recently that they started off the conversation as a douchebag, so they were strike 1. I gave them opportunity by trying to have a civil conversation with them. There was strike 2 with their retort. And the meaner they got, the meaner I got. To the point where I basically told them, yeah, you don't want to meet me. You really don't. I'll embarrass the living shit out of you. Somebody took that as a violent threat. I was like, where did I say I was going to beat the shit out of him? That has nothing to do with it. I'd make him look like a dumbass, and that's not hard to do. I could run my mouth, circles around this dumb shit, until they swung at me. And even then, I wouldn't have to fight back. I'd just let them swing, and they would never connect. Never. The only time they'd actually be able to connect is if they were a boxer and knew how to fight, and then I might have to defend myself. But most of the time, nah, you ain't hitting me. I'd just make them look stupid. I'd make them look a fool. I'd make them look as dumb as they are on the internet. And that's not hard to do. But they had 3 tries. They failed 3 times. There's no reason to keep negativity in your life. I think that's the bigger point in this. But just because somebody's negative doesn't necessarily mean that you need to write them out. 3 strikes, you're out. 3rd time's a charm. Beyond that, it's up to you. But anyways, I thought I'd share this one just because I thought it was a nice little side thought about maybe a 4th principle, but it only applies to interpersonal relationships. It doesn't apply universally, so therefore it doesn't quite make sense. Because innovation, you try, as Thomas Edison said, he found 10,000 ways not to do something right. Or what's uncommonly said is that he found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb, which is not necessarily true. He tried 10,000 different ways and failed. Everybody says it's 10,000 failures. He's like, no, it's 10,000 wrong ways to do something right. A little bit different thought process. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you next time.